Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about a strategy which will include that if you only have 6 months before prelims, I would say that it would definitely help people who are seeking to take an attempt in CSE 2020 because you have 6 good months, I would say, before prelims, and then you have definitely the time that you can utilize between prelims and mains. So, of course, it would be a very ambitious attempt, I would say, given the fact that you have not studied anything before that. But I would also say that if you're able to cover up your syllabus within this amount of time, also the kind of ornamentation that one needs with regards to advanced studies regarding this examination, I think you would do a great justice to yourself because it would help you in your further attempt if needed. I personally feel that once when you take the mains examination seriously, if you are able to cover the subjects, regardless of everything, it would definitely help you in your another attempt if you are unable to reach the rank that you're aspiring for, the services that you're aspiring for. So I would strongly suggest, and in fact, I would request all of you who are planning to take CSE 2020 and who have doubts regarding their own preparation and they are feeling insecure whether they are good enough or not, I think this video would definitely help you. And let's see how can we manage this time, which is seemingly less, but if utilized well, I think it would definitely fetch you the required result. So, friends, I have already discussed this part that whensoever you pick up any topic in UPSC, you should try to divide it in three broad contours. First one would be your static or core portion. Then you have to supplement that thing with the current affairs, the news, the policies, and the issues that are going around that particular topic. And then, yes, you should also know that what are the news items, what are the things, what are the study material that you can utilize for writing relevant and contemporary answers in your optional paper also. Because if I speak for my optional sociology, the paper 2, that is Indian sociology part, is a very applied part in which we are supposed to have the sociological lens. So yes, further reading is required and is expected of us. So let's begin. Let's say you are beginning your preparation in December 2019. Let's say. So the very first thing that you would do, as I've clearly mentioned time and again in my previous lectures also, you will pick up the syllabus and you will rote learn it. Rote learn. The next thing that you would do would pick up the past year question papers. Prelims plus mains. And this exercise is definitely required, in fact, at the very first instance, because then you will start making sense of the news around you and all the other material that you would be referring to after this stage. So even if this stage takes 3 or 4 days, it is absolutely fine. But it is really important that you rote learn the syllabus and then you go about the past year question papers. Once you are done with this, I think the very first thing that you should do is pick up the core subjects. Why do I emphasize on the core subjects at this stage? Because, for example, if you have picked up any current affairs magazine, so if I speak for myself, if I don't know the story behind that, if I don't know the advent of that issue and how Government of India has tackled that issue till now, how would I ever make sense of that? Are you getting it? So I think before the completion of your core subjects, if you're making an attempt to actually understand and in fact if learn current affairs, so I think that would be a very tedious exercise and it will not fetch you the right amount of the advantage that it should fetch you. So I would strictly suggest you that you should go for core subjects. So you can pick up any of the core subjects of your choice. What I used to do, I have been receiving these doubts from aspirants that, ma'am, how should I go about the core subjects? For example, should I pick up history from ancient history to India after independence, or I should shuffle my subjects like each day? So I don't know what works for you, but for me, I always picked up one subject. For example, I picked up history. So for example, if I'm picking the whole subject for the very first time and I don't remember much from my standard 10th or standard 9th, what I would do, what I just did, I picked up from ancient India, then medieval, modern India, or then the freedom struggle, India after independence. So the whole history, the whole story of history, I used to take it as a story itself, so that there would be no abrupt fractures in my studies, and I can really make sense of what is happening around. And also it would also help me retain the thing, because I have told you that it is about reading plus revising plus retaining and reproducing in the exam. So most of the times I get this doubt from my aspirants that, ma'am, I pick up my studies, but I really don't know that I tend to forget that, I keep on forgetting that particular matter. So I think, my dear friends, you are not, your technique of memorizing or your technique of learning is somehow not so great. So I would suggest that you should pick up a thing and try to read it cover to cover, so that your brain would absorb it and your brain would start connecting things. So it is another way of learning things. And also I can say that if you can manage one or two fellow aspirants who can come along, and you can discuss things, and you can just simply attempt the questions that are mentioned at the end of the NCERT chapters, I think that would itself would be a very fruitful exercise. So you can pick up history and you can pick up geography, and meanwhile revision, because you are already making a very ambitious attempt, taking the examination just before 6 months. I think you should do a lot of revision. So weekly revision. Then you would do your option. You will take up your optional and do the first reading. Why have I mentioned final stage? Because you're already short of time. I would request you that after December, you should not be in a state of confusion about your optional. You should just concretize it and you should go about it. The next thing would be your current affairs. Now, current affairs, as I suppose, I'm presupposing that you have not touched anything before December, for that matter, or November. So I would say that you should pick up your current affairs from June onwards and just give it a go. Just read it. No mugging up at this stage, my dear friends, because that is a wrong technique. Until unless you know the whole story inside and out, in and out, if you don't know the ins and outs of any of the subject matter, I really don't know how would you remember it. You will tend to forget it. So no mugging up at this stage. And yes, newspaper notes taking and revising. And why have I mentioned newspaper notes taking? Because now is the right time. Your prelims examination would be on May 31st. So it is really important that you start taking notes of a newspaper. And what are the notes that you will take for newspaper? So just take note of 3 or 4 things that I am telling you. So the first thing that you will note would be any data. For example, World Bank has released some report, and they have ranked India, for example, in hunger and malnutrition, poverty, whatsoever. So you will in ease of doing business. So the data. Second thing would be if any committee or commission has been formed by government over anything. For example, if TSR Subramaniam Sir committee on educational reforms. So yes, so commissions, you will try to note it down. The third thing that you can note down from the newspapers that you are going through would be data committee, and yes, the Supreme Court judgments. If you encounter any of the judgment, if Supreme Court speaks something about right to privacy, if Supreme Court something like Sabarimala verdict, if there is a case, for example, XYZ versus Union of India, you will encounter such kind of things in your newspaper. I'm trying to ask this from you, even if you are at a very nascent phase of your preparation. It doesn't matter. You will keep a note of these things. And fourth, if possible, if you are able to recognize some noted economist, for example, if C. Rangarajan sir, if he publishes the lead article in the Hindu in the opinion page, I would definitely ask you to take a note of it and try to at least note down 2 or 3 points from the conclusion part. If you notice carefully, you would see that the Hindu editorial page, you would see that it is also divided into subheadings. So I think you can at least note down the subheadings and 2-3 points under that. So that is how you would go about it. So this is your homework, this is your task for your first month. whensoever you pick up this task of demolishing UPSC CSE 2020. Now next, about January, I would say, again your core subjects. For example, if you're continuing with geography, so you can go about that. So please complete it, starting from physical plus social or human, that we say, plus economic. Okay, then Indian geography, and geography is a huge subject. I hope you all would agree on that. So you should just go about it. But yes, because you're taking a very ambitious attempt for CSE 2020, I would suggest that you should at least study 7 to 8 hours per day. And these should be the productive hours, not the hours in which we just sit and daydream about when we would be a collector or SP. Not those hours. Real, serious, disciplined, dedicated hours. So your core subjects and then revision. Then your optional. I have mentioned answer practice, but I think it would be a very ambitious attempt. About answer practice, how you can go about it. For example, in your paper 1, in my sociology, we had thinkers. So thinker portions are static. For example, what they have, their theory, it won't change. So you can just simply pick up past year questions and start practicing. So start practicing the static questions, not the applied ones, because for applied ones, you need to cover your optional from tip to toe. So put that urge on hold and start picking the static portion, the static question papers. For example, in our sociology, for example, suicide theory by Durkheim. So you can just go about it. You have to mention that what was Durkheim's theory and then the criticisms. So it is a static thing. If you know it, you can write it. So you can handle such questions. I think it would definitely help you during the time between prelims and mains. So, and it is really important that you should have teeny mini knowledge about your optional and the static portion, because we are already short on time. Now, the next thing would be your current affairs from June onwards. So I hope you have already done that in your previous month also. For example, you picked June plus July. So now you can go for August and September. Okay. Now newspaper notes, taking and revising. I have already mentioned what are the things that you need to note down from the newspaper at this stage of your preparation. And then it would be prelims mock test. Why have I mentioned prelims mock test? Because it is already January. You have Jan, Feb, March and April. And your May month would be all about revision. So you have just 4 months in hand, and keeping in mind the dicey part or dicey nature of prelims, I think that you should give it the due amount of attention that the UPSC has been demanding of you. So you should go for weekly mock test. How can you synchronize it? I think when you will pick up the test, for example, it is about geography, and most of the prelims mock test series, they are designed in a way that the first 8 or 9 tests are static. For example, they put questions from NCERTs and from your basic books. So I think you can go about it, and it would also help you analyze that how are you going about the static surface. So your progress about the same. Now I think we should move forward. In your next month, again, core subjects revision, your optional answer practice plus revision. You can see that in every step of the way I have mentioned revision, because I particularly feel the puddle which will make you from an aspirant to an officer. Trust me, it would be revision. So do a lot of revision. Then current affairs, June onwards, June, July, August, September, October, November. You can go about October, November. And newspaper notes, then again taking and revising, and prelim mock test weekly. Now in your March, you will be loaded with one more document, that would be economic survey and your budget document. So now you have 2 new documents to take care of. Again, your core subjects revision, current affairs, new plus revision, newspaper notes, taking revising, prelim mock test. Now, because you have already arrived in March and April, you have just 2 good months to prelims. So I would say that now you should definitely aim for accuracy, and you should also develop the art of eliminating the wrong options. So it would only come with practice. No person can teach you this until unless you have practiced it yourself. And all those of you who would do this practice religiously, who will do this exercise with all their heart, I am so sure that they will slowly, gradually understand that what I mean to say by art of elimination, and how your accuracy, your strike rate, your hit ratio would improve as and when you will progress with your prelims mock tests. Now, April, the grind. I think now the time has arrived. You have just 60 days before your prelims. So, nothing less than 10 hours would work, my dear friends, because you have already started late and you are very new to the whole subject. And in order to let your brain absorb the whole amount of data that you have processed, I think it's really important that you dedicate at least 10 hours per day. So core subjects revision, current affairs, April plus past revision, newspaper notes, taking and revising not more than 1 hour, and test to improve accuracy elimination plus revision. So whatsoever test you have already taken, solved, I would very strongly request that you should definitely go for revision, and a lot of revision. And then May, it's your I would say the destination month, I would say. Current affairs revision, test series revision, nothing new. I would suggest that you should not read anything new. So nothing new in this month, nothing new. And body clock, also one very important suggestion, one very important aspect that we tend to miss during this preparation, that your exam would be from 10 to 12 or 9 to 11. So it's really important that you should stop abusing your body clock and you should try to fix it as early as possible. And you can also go about 15 days before your actual prelims exam, but it will only come that naturally when you start practicing the same since the beginning of the May month. So it is a very important aspect. So go about that and go about a lot of revision, test series revision, and nothing new. And if some of you have doubts about newspaper reading, I think newspaper reading for not more than 45 minutes per day. And you can skip the newspaper on Sundays because it's a different newspaper. So you are not reading newspaper for leisure now. You are just reading newspaper in order to take out any point, any data that would help you, solve the MCQs in your prelims examination. So that is how you will structure your preparation from December to May. And the average hours, I have already told you that for April and May, it should be nothing less than 10 hours. And for others, it would definitely be 7 to 8 hours, nothing less than that, because you have a lot of portion to cover. Now, once your prelims is over, and I am so sure that you will land up in a safe zone, from the next day itself, because you're already short on time, the per day limit that I have told you would be at least 10 to 12 hours per day. Again, now, the day after prelims, you can take a day off or take 2 days off. It is absolutely fine, just to rejuvenate yourself. Pick up the core and static portion and go about the weekly answer writing, because now mains is all about writing answers in that notebook, in that copy that UPSC provides you. So no amount of reading, no amount of mere studying would help you write a good answer. So please take up weekly answer writing, any mock test series. You can buy it from the market, or you can just simply buy it from sources that will not cost you much. So it will definitely help you fix the handwriting, speed, and presentation. My dear friends, all the three are equally important when you will be actually taking up the mains examination. For optional also, you should take weekly answer writing. Current affairs, rigorous revision. So current affairs from June onwards, June 2019, okay, to December 2019. These can be given for say 1/3 of the time, and from January to your, for example, May 2019, these should be prioritized more. So 2/3 of your time you will keep on revising them, because these are recent, so there are possibilities this question can be asked. So this is my idea, but of course in all manner you should give equal importance from June to May. Now, practice at least 6 to 7 essays, broader themes. So, what are the broader themes if you can go about it? So, about values or morals, you can see. Then about AI or science and tech, you can say that there are broader themes. Then education, then health, then agriculture. You can see that these are the oft repeated topics. So you should definitely formulate skeleton, or we can say brainstorm some ideas, or how would you go about it in your mock essays, and then consolidate self notes and revise. So whatsoever self notes you have taken down from the Hindu or from magazine or any article that you encounter, you have to revise them at least 2 to 3 times before actually taking up the mains examination. Otherwise they will not stick to your head, and it will not come up, what I would say, unconsciously, because that is how things should start working. Now for optional, everything under 100 sheets quick revision. This is a very ideal, I would say, very ideal state in which you should try to consolidate your optional. Summarize is, do you remember when we were discussing about this thing called English paper writing, the compulsory English language paper? They have put this question of précis writing. So I think you have to make a précis of all of your optional syllabus. For example, it is of 1,000 pages, so you have to cut it down to 300 pages. So that is called précis writing, and that is how you have to go about it. And with this, I think you will be done if you follow this process diligently. Yes, it is difficult, I would agree. Yes, it is overambitious, I would agree. But it would certainly help you grabbing a rank in this particular attempt itself if everything went well. Plus, it would definitely help you. Like, there is no second thought about it. It would definitely help you in your next attempt. If ever you miss the service of your choice or the rank of your choice, it would definitely help you in your next attempt. And try to give all of yourself during this 6 months you have before prelims, plus 3.5 months that you have between prelims and mains, and all the very best.